With the current state of the Crew Motorfest, I think at this point we can almost all agree that we are wondering a pretty big question. Is the next Crew game, or even the Crew 3 for that matter, coming out in the future, or are they even working on it? To be honest, guys, I would almost say at this point, a lot of people are probably like, well, yeah, they probably are. I would almost guarantee looking at Motorfest right now with the state of the game how it is currently, they are most likely probably working on the next game. Now, don't get me wrong here, I do know when there's like a game that comes out, they're probably already working on the next installment, or like the next game that probably comes out in that said franchise, but can we all agree, guys? It is a bit concerning. Like, don't get me wrong, I love Motorfest. I do know the game has its positives and its negatives, which we can all agree most games probably have both of them. I really do want the game to do great, and I'm really hoping for something to actually come out in Season 4 that changes it. I'm probably going to make a separate video on that here in the near future, but one of the biggest things that probably stood out to me with this though is probably when looking at those videos and also making those videos going over the said Crew 2 updates compared to Motorfest. You'll probably look at them and go, well, Block, like, hold on a second, dude. Motorfest obviously is like a brand new game. They're going to bring updates to it eventually, which I am hoping for, and also like a few things added into the game that makes it a better experience. But when looking at the Crew 2 guys, like seriously, looking at those updates, for example, the first update brought us what, the hovercrafts new events. The second update brought us like live battle PvP and stuff like that, which is, you know, I do know Motorfest has grand races, but still, that's like an entire game mode. It also brought us like the demolition derby vehicles, all kinds of events for those. We also saw like Alpha GP events and all kinds of rallycross events. Like, that was a pretty action-packed update, and it does honestly concern me a bit. Like, I do know right now Motorfest probably isn't in the best state. Can it get in a better one? Of course it can. It can definitely improve and get better as time does go on. Different updates come out, or they plan something massive for it, which is possible. But the thing about this, though, is when looking at the different update size and stuff, I was like, man, like, it really does make you look at the Crew 2 updates and go, well, these are a lot bigger. There's more stuff in those updates, so maybe Motorfest will end up getting that here in the near future. At least I hope it does. We all do know each update's around, what is it, like 3 months or something like that. We get like a main stage, obviously new summits, a vehicle at the end of it, which currently the Forsberg one, I would say, is probably one of the most non-hyped main stage updates I think we've had in the game so far, probably because many of the vehicles we have seen already, or a lot of players are looking at the summits like, you know, man, I am not going to go after the Dominion Edition. I don't even care about the 350Z in the timeline for the lovely main stage there, so why look at it? Whereas you'd probably see the updates coming out on the Crew 2 also being around 3 months apart, and you are probably looking at that going, well, we got new events, new classes, PvP. We also had that weird contract thing back in the day to where you could get crew credits, which I think everybody probably hopes we will end up seeing that come back in Motorfest. But let's be honest, they're probably not going to add a way to get crew credits. At least I don't think they will. On top of that, though, guys, I would love to see some of the old updates in the Crew 2 coming into Motorfest, or at least a newer concept of it. Also, can I say something right now? I would like to know your thoughts. It's probably going to be a bit mixed here. Can we get another motor pass? Am I the only one that actually misses the motor passes? Like, for example, guys, we had things to unlock in them. There was also a bunch of weekly and daily challenges connected to it, which also gives a player a reason to jump on daily and do them. Getting some money from those daily challenges and stuff like that gives you a reason to do these said challenges, and you're also leveling up the motor pass and stuff like that on top of it, going after cool looking vanities and all kinds of cool stuff. I feel like Motorfest is a bit lacking there. We can't agree the playlists are cool, but I have to admit, guys, even like Sid Waj mentioned, what was it, like 15 or something playlists in the game, where it probably should have been around 30 or at least more of them. I have to admit, he's probably right. Like, we probably should have had more of them. We do know a lot of players would do a playlist and then look at that and go, okay, I'm good, bro. I don't need to do these again. Like, why go in and do some of them? Or they find like a specific event like the Scene 4, or like Kiss Me Combi, where they make their money and their experience in there. And then when they go up to level up different classes, they have to go around the map to do them. Which is also another concern of mine, guys, of why I actually think the Crew 3 is in development, or the next Crew game, whatever that might be called. Am I the only one that's a bit concerned about that, guys? Like, we are around 8 months or so into the game now, and what do we actually have for other class races in the game? For example, for Rallycross, we have 2 events. For Drag, we have 2 events. Nobody likes flying the planes or the boats around. Personally, I actually like the hovercrafts and the jet sprints. Don't hate me on that. I think they were kind of entertaining. But they also had a bunch of different events for those said vehicle classes, whereas currently in the game we do not have anything for monster trucks or demolition derby, like nothing. You legit have to use them in like the navigation. Like, for example, Why would I even go after the bulldozer or fix a stat when I can't even run it because you can't run into other people unless you're doing the was that game mode Demolition Royale? That would make sense in there. And I gotta say right now, guys, I know a lot of people might be like, you know what, Block, like stop complaining and stuff, man. Like the game is good. Don't get me wrong, guys. I like Motorfest, man. I want the game to be better. I really want it to improve. I'm not complaining or hating on it. It's more of the fact of just wanting the game to actually get better and be a good experience overall for everybody, which I really do feel like if we all come together, that might actually happen. But at the same time, I also feel like a lot of players have probably lost hope in this game already, which I do think is kind of sad. I myself am also keeping like optimistic and trying to be positive with it. Like then we look at something like the Crew 2 updates to where you're probably like, man, these are a lot bigger. They're also adding a lot more stuff into them. Personally, one of my favorite updates in the Crew 2 was the story update. That was so much dang fun. I love them. You actually got vehicles, vanity items from doing them, and it basically took you around the entire map. I really do feel like everybody was loving that update. My goodness, guys, it was probably one of my favorites. Would something like that work in Motorfest with how the current map design is? Well, I would probably say a lot of people are not going to like it because most of those stories would probably be in the same locations, and you're most likely going to go, wait a minute, wasn't I already by this pineapple tower? Wasn't I already by this restaurant? Why do I have to talk to Rick by the restaurant? Because he wants some pizza, where I can head over to the next place I was just at in the previous story. I just feel like having something like that in the Crew 2 would make sense because of the map size, which I did end up making a video about the map guys being a bit smaller. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it's awful. I just feel like they need to add more stuff into it, like events and stuff like that, to make it more filled out, and also give a lot of players a reason to really want to jump into the map, or even add like a map expansion, hopefully in the future, or maybe a HQ house or something, which we had in the Crew 2. I thought that was kind of dope. Here's the other main concern of mine, though. If they were to make another Crew game, what would they actually do with the map? Like, would they go back to the Crew 2? Would they go back to, like, the Crew 1, which is the same thing? Would they go back to, like, a US design map, or would they go to, like, an upgraded version of the Hawaii map here in Motorfest? Would a lot of people be hyped if they saw the Crew Motorfest 2 coming out, and you can import all of your cars? No, I don't think people would really like that, including myself. I really do think they did try to aim for something new in Motorfest, which I do think it actually works. The game does look really good. I do know a lot of players can argue that, yeah, the game does look like Forza or like it's a Forza clone. Personally, guys, I have never played Forza. I might in the future, but playing Motorfest, I do like the way the game looks. The cars handle well. I like the way they sound. And I would say Motorfest has a crazy amount of potential. There's legit a few things they have to add to the game. I might actually make a separate video on like the top 5 things I think they should add to the game. But the first thing on the top of my head right now, if they don't want this game to fail, for one is a PvP setup that's actually good. You can do like a ranked PvP, have all kinds of classes in there, and allow players to jump in and not have to be forced to use 3 different classes they don't want to run, like a monster truck, a rallycross vehicle, and maybe like a boat. At least make it so you can use different classes on different types of events, and that way it's going to be locked to those specific classes. On top of that, as I mentioned before, maybe a rank system. The other thing, guys, I really do think Motorfest needs, let's be honest, as Sid Waz also mentioned, other YouTubers have mentioned this as well, that main stage thing has to be redesigned a bit. Put more stuff in there, give us a reason to do it, like really make players want to jump on there. Don't get me wrong, I do think titles are pretty dope, but let's be honest, who really cares about them? I am still currently running the Porsche fan since when the game came out. I have not even changed it, or even wanted to change it. The other thing I did want to mention here is we do know the rewards in the main stage. A lot of players look and they're like, okay, well, I'm going to jump onto the summit for around 45 minutes. Then I'm not going to play Motorfest until next week again. Don't you guys actually want to see the game having daily challenges and different things to level up and go after? That way it's really giving you a reason to jump onto the game daily and really get on it. And I know for a fact right now, if they did end up adding something like the daily challenges or something to really get you to go, you know what? I need to jump on tomorrow and do these challenges again, or I need to jump on and do this event because it's going to give you like a bonus on parts or like XP and money or something like that. Like that would be dope. And the thing about this, I do know everybody is going to agree here, guys. None of this stuff really is like a complaining aspect. It's more of the fact of like, yo, let's get the game to its best potential, man. This could legit be one of the best racing games of the modern era, guys. Not even kidding. They can do it. Seriously. If they add a few things to it that everyone is asking for, which people have been asking for them, especially when it comes to like the PvP part of it, my goodness, we definitely need that in there. And you know the other thing, if I'm being 100% honest here, like let's take a look at Motorfest right now being around 7 to 8 months into the game's life cycle. does it not only concern me, but I feel like it's probably going to concern everybody else. Like, a legit new crew game probably is in development right now, guys. You know what my concern is, though? Are they going to scrap Motorfest right now? Like, that's a bit concerning to me, man. I don't want to see that happen to it. Or they're most likely going to start putting out, like, really weird updates or, like, really tiny ones, while they basically put the entire team or more of those people into the next crew game. I saw something about this game having around 300 people working on it. Not sure how true that is. Might be, might not. I saw something that apparently Unbound has around 30 people working on it, which is kind of a lot lower of a number. And those updates in that game were actually fairly decent, even though Unbound has its own issues, guys. I don't hate that game. It's actually pretty dang fun, and the multiplayer is actually pretty dang fun in Unbound, like, not gonna lie. So, if we can get that in Motorfest, I feel like it's actually going to make the game that much better, and also bring so many people into the game, and also a lot of new players. Overall, though, guys, I don't want to come off like I'm ranting here, but my goodness, all of us want the game to be good, bro. Like, that's the biggest thing here. That's all we want. We just all want the game to be good. We want the proper things to happen for it. And I also know for a fact, though, I can't be the only one wondering if Motorfest is going to last 5 years like the Crew 2 did. Like, do you guys actually think the Crew Motorfest is going to last 5 years of content updates? I really do feel like that's probably a pretty valid question, but overall, though, guys, I would like to know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you also think the Crew Motorfest is going to last a solid 5 years like the Crew 2 did? And do you guys also think the next Crew game is going to be in development? I guess time is only going to tell.